It's the ultimate betrayal. Prince William's heartbreak today over 3 sickening new revelations, including a tell-all book on his mother, Princess Diana, by his own uncle, Earl Spencer. Something that will destroy William, infuriate William. That's before you get to the betrayal from his own father, who, it has been revealed today, has invited Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to Balmoral, ignoring private pleas from William. That's, of course, adding to the growing rapprochement with his younger brother, Prince Harry, by his dad. So all of this is going to be deeply upsetting to the future king, who you do just have to remember is attempting to save the monarchy. None of this is done out of spite, but it's all about trying to make sure that there is a monarchy for his eldest son, Prince George, to inherit. So we're going to get into all of these betrayals in detail today with Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network. But we've got this breaking bombshell news, the on-the-record statement from Earl Spencer that for the first time at 62 years old, he is writing this tell-all book on Princess Diana. He says it's to set the record straight once and for all ahead of the 30th anniversary of her death. Now, I'm just going to lay my cards on the table here. I'm not a big fan of Earl Spencer. I think he has been a malign influence in a lot of ways in recent years, and he has aligned himself very much with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. To me, and this is an opinion, and you are more than welcome to disagree, this is a money play. And it is also a play to make it much easier for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle next year to cash in even further on Princess Diana's memory, because they're like, well, look, Earl Spencer's done this book. It's just our chance now to do the same thing. And I think for William, that is heartbreaking, given he did have this deal explicitly with Prince Harry. But obviously it spread to Earl Spencer that after the 20th anniversary, there wasn't going to be any of this big family cashing in on anniversaries of Diana's death, because it's tacky and it doesn't let her rest in peace. But this is the reporting on the bombshell statement today from Diana's brother, Tom Sykes of The Royalist, writing the historic book is due to be published next month by Penguin Michael Joseph under the title Swan Song, Diana, My Sister. He says it will be a deeply personal account of his relationship with his sibling. In other words, he's doing a spare. He's telling it all. The 62-year-old said on the record, with the 30th anniversary of Diana's tragic death on the skyline, I've been inundated yet again with requests for interviews about my sister. This has convinced me to write down my own thoughts and memories once and for all, rather than having the discomfort of again reading the opinions of others, many of which are based on untruths that have become accepted over time. So what you see there is Earl Spencer is trying to make a moral argument as to why he's doing this. Now, I haven't seen the book. Of course, I haven't read the manuscript. I will read the manuscript. We will report on it. But I hope Earl Spencer is honest about some of the terrible fallouts he had with Diana in the final years of her life, because she was not happy with a lot of the decisions that he made. Earl Spencer goes on. The aim of this book is to tell the truth about Diana from her brother's perspective, just as I attempted to do in speaking at her funeral. So invoking that eulogy, which, remember, received that applause from around the world because of the way that we were feeling about Diana at that time. As with my eulogy, I want to speak on Diana's behalf and do so in an openly positive way. I hope this book will be of interest to the many who still cherish the memory of Diana when she was alive, and I would be delighted if those too young to remember her in her heyday feel after reading this that they get, and he's put get in inverted commas, who she really was, a one-off, dynamic character full of love, charisma, and self-doubt, who gave life a hell of a go and left the world a far better place despite exiting the stage while still so young. This is a book I've been invited to write repeatedly since the actual day of Diana's funeral. Now is the time for me to finally put it down on the page. Now, my question is why? Why now? Why? The 30th anniversary means you're going to make more money? Why now? Tom Sykes goes on in his memoir Spare. Harry said that Spencer objected to the barbarity of the brothers, then boys aged 15 and 12, following the funeral cortege on the day of Diana's burial. The Earl is also expected to confront his own role in Diana's infamous 1995 Panorama interview. BBC reporter Martin Bashir first approached him with forged bank statements that persuaded the Earl to introduce Bashir to his sister, and which the 2021 Dyson inquiry found breached BBC guidelines. Spencer has spoken of his profound regret, saying the irony is that I met Martin Bashir on the 31st of August 1995 because exactly 2 years later she died, and I do draw a line between the two events. Swan Song follows Spencer's harrowing 2024 memoir, A Very Private School, in which he revealed the physical and sexual abuse he endured from the age of 8 at Maidwell Hall boarding school, including grooming by a predatory assistant matron he describes as voracious paedophile. Remember, Diana and her siblings grew up at Park House on the Sandringham estate before the family moved to Althorpe in 1975. So, there is an incredible story to tell here. His own private life has known its share of turbulence. He has been married 3 times to model Victoria Lockwood, to Caroline Freud, and to Canadian philanthropist Karen Gordon, from whom he split in 2024 and has 7 children. He is now in a relationship with archaeologist Dr. Kat Jarman, his co-host on the Rabbit Hole Detectives podcast. Meghan and Harry took their children, Archie and Lilibet, to visit Althorpe last month, where they were photographed walking to lay flowers on Diana's grave, a tree-covered island in the middle of an ornamental lake called the Oval Lake. And what's quite interesting is, you might remember on Friday's show, you can go back and watch it if you haven't seen it, Meghan Kelly revealed that Earl Spencer was actually horrified about that picture that we just saw posted by Meghan on Instagram, showing Harry and Archie and Lily going to Diana's gravesite for the first time, even carrying flowers at Althorpe. But Brittany, I put it to you that perhaps Earl Spencer should be looking a little bit closer to home, given he seems to be about to cash in on the 30th anniversary, of Princess Diana's death. Now, this is his decision, but to try and suggest that he's doing this for altruistic reasons, I don't buy it, Brittany. What do you think?
I don't buy it either, Dan. I just find this to be absolutely cringe, especially even the title of the book, Swan Song. It's just absolutely, I think, sort of despicable that he is once again leveraging the memory of his sister in order to make money. I just don't think there's any way to look at it. To be a bit cynical as well, he does have 3 ex-wives, so maybe this is part of why he needs another book to put out there as well. And it's just a ploy to capture the memory of his sister for himself, which I feel like not only he has done, but Harry has done as well. Just leveraging Diana again and again and again and again, just to hope that the money rolls in. And it does, because again, they are getting their dividends based on her and her legacy, not them of themselves. And that Harry and Earl Spencer align here, again, I think shows where Harry's loyalties really lie, and how Earl Spencer, you could say, is encouraging some of this kind of mining of Diana's memory. And I do strongly believe we will probably see a Diana documentary by Harry and Meghan next year. It's the only thing of theirs that they can sell. And so I think that is definitely what they'll be doing. And it's disturbing, but it's unfortunately not a surprise that this is a route that Earl Spencer would decide to go down. And I think he's definitely opened the door for Harry to follow suit.
Indeed, and that is just the start of this deep upset for Prince William, because we also have the new reporting in The Sun today. And okay, it's been spun as a royal snub. But to me, the biggest story here, Brittany, is the fact that the invitation was made in the first place. King Charles wanting Andrew Mountbatten Windsor at Balmoral. King Charles also potentially wanting Prince Harry and Meghan at Balmoral. Does he just want to make life as difficult as possible at the moment for William and the children? I sometimes do wonder that. This is the reporting from Matt Wilkinson, the royal editor of the Sun newspaper, who says Mountbatten Windsor rejected the King's offer of a holiday at Balmoral with the rest of the royals. Andrew feels he would be treated as an outcast if he made the trip to the Highlands estate, a friend says. The invite to join the holiday was a chance for family reconciliation. It is believed the King has not seen scandal hit Andrew this year, despite regularly staying only a mile away from him. A friend said Andrew feels he's been abandoned. He feels like he is no longer part of the family. He was invited, but he has got no great desire to be at Balmoral, as he's got nothing to gain and would be treated as an outcast. What's the point, he feels, of going all the way there for a much-needed holiday and being treated as an elephant in the room? Up to 30 family members are set to join the King there over the next month for a traditional gathering. Andrew cut a lonely figure at the estate last year when he spent up to 2 weeks there. Since then, he has faced fresh claims relating to his late pedo pal, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Brittany, we've got to look at this in a couple of ways. Firstly, I'm just being honest. I don't think many people are going to have that much sympathy about Andrew feeling like he's an outcast. I think while there is some people within the family, I think you'd say Princess Anne and Prince Edward, who definitely think the treatment of Andrew has been too harsh. Overall, the optics of this would not be great. And in some ways, you could say Andrew is looking a gift horse in the mouth here, because actually Charles is risking his relationship with Prince William again, risking his popularity ratings plummeting again, just to align himself with his brother. Why do you think he made this invite? And how do you feel about Andrew briefing the media that he is the victim in all of this?
I mean, it's kind of crazy, Dan. And we did get an indication of where Charles's head is at in the Times, where he said, blood is blood. And so Charles is not really going to, I think, see the writing on the wall here and actually manage the royal family well. He's doing the unfortunate thing, I think, of mixing dynastic decisions and personal family decisions. And to be fair, like, there's just not really a reason to align with Andrew. I mean, Charles was trying to rehab Andrew until basically he couldn't. He was inviting Andrew and Sarah to any sort of family things, Easter. They were at obviously the Royal Ascot and other situations. And so Charles and Christmas. And so Charles has been trying to integrate Andrew and Sarah back into the family basically this whole time. And then the heat got too intense. And so Charles backed off and now he's there again. It's like, have we not learned any lessons here from the debacle with Andrew? It just seems clear that Charles hasn't learned anything, that he's just going to plow through and ahead with this idea that just family is family. And there's some truth there. I'm not saying that they totally ostracize Andrew, but they have to think of the optics here. And I just think that is the last thing on Charles's mind. He thinks that the public is just going to be like, well, he's appreciating family, he's trusting family, these sorts of things. And while, again, there's something admirable about that, there is also the reality of the situation, which is that Andrew is in a heck of a lot of trouble. And unfortunately, the monarchy indulged him for so many years that it's dragged the entire institution down with him. And it just seems clear to me that Charles is not recognizing that and continuing to go forward with bad policy after bad policy here when it comes to Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Sykes has been scathing in The Royalist today, describing this decision as an extraordinary risk and writing, will he ever learn? King Charles's decision to invite the former Prince Andrew to join him shows solidarity with Andrew, but will horrify the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And he goes on to say, on the one hand, Charles loves to appear tough, evicting Andrew from Royal Lodge, stripping him of his titles, his honours, his birthright as a prince, and banishing him to a farmhouse in Norfolk. Maybe you could argue that was the work of Sir Clive Alderton, the WASP, soon to depart Charles' employ. On the other hand, Tom Sykes goes on, he wants to reconcile with Harry, a son who derided him in print as weak and pathetic, and invites Andrew to come and stay for the summer holidays. And let's be clear, this is not a normal summer holiday of the type you or I might take. The annual trip to Balmoral is an important fixture of the constitutional calendar, a token and a signifier of the membership of the royal family itself, much like the church at Sandringham on Christmas morning. Of course, Andy Burnham, the new British Prime Minister, expected to be part of this pilgrimage, this annual pilgrimage to Balmoral. So Tom Sykes says it raises the obvious question, is Andrew going to be at Sandringham at Christmas? Because that surely is where this is heading. Even if this were a normal family holiday, I struggle to understand why anyone would invite an individual to join them on it whom they were sufficiently convinced had behaved in a manner so revolting that they had removed his income, titles and home and publicly humiliated him in front of the entire world. The fact that the king is still extending invitations to Andrew is utterly bizarre. Let's remind ourselves what Buckingham Palace actually said when Andrew's titles were removed in October. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him, the palace said, adding, their majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. Well, which is it? If your thoughts and utmost sympathies really have been and really will remain with the victims and survivors of abuse, you do not invite the man at the centre of it all to join you for grouse and barbecues at Balmoral. If you are genuinely putting the victims first, the message is, I am disgusted by what you have done and I am never going to see you again. The message is not come and stay in August, which suggests that actually, after all, Andrew is still in the fold. And yes, Sykes reports, there are still plenty of Andrew's old friends who dismiss the whole thing as trial by media, a witch hunt, and would be delighted to host him. Of course, we reported on yesterday's show of Lady Victoria Harvey, making direct claims to Kash Patel, the FBI director, backed by Sarah Ferguson. Tom Sykes goes on, yes, Andrew has had his gun licence taken away, but he is still permitted to shoot in the company of another licence holder. Such stricture is not at all uncommon under Britain's tough gun rules when someone is going through a divorce or upheaval, and there is no reason to think his licence won't be fully restored in the fullness of time. The issue here is not how Andrew chooses to spend a few days in August, it is the extent to which Andrew remains under the King's protection. And then Tom Sykes speaks about something that Andrew Lowney, the author of Entitled, has also proclaimed. My strong suspicion, he writes, is that Andrew will not end up in jail and maybe not even in court. I suspect it will all end with an announcement that there is insufficient evidence to proceed, perhaps some briefings about the constitutional complexities of the whole thing, and it will all be allowed to fade away, and Andrew will be free to get on with his life, perhaps in another jurisdiction. Andrew is very far from being abandoned by his brother. The yawning gap between what the king says and what he does is likely to go down badly with William. You cannot declare your utmost sympathy for the victims and abusers and survivors of abuse with one hand and extend a holiday invitation to your disgraced brother with the other and expect people to understand. The fact that King Charles invited Andrew to Balmoral makes one thing very, very clear. Whatever the press release says, Andrew remains in his brother's eyes family. And look, Brittany, there are a lot of issues with that, aren't they? Because we know that William is prepared to take a tough approach for the good of the monarchy. See the way that he continues to ice out Prince Harry.
I mean, he does. And Dan, you just have to look at how other monarchies have handled sort of the spare side of the family. They've started stripping down titles. They started removing HRHs, and the family is able to get along pretty well even past that. And when it comes to the British monarchy, one of the problems that it has, I think, is the idea that it has a bunch of hangers on. And the Yorks, of course, are part of that, and Harry and Meghan are part of that as well. And I think it weakens the institution, it weakens what it means to be royalty. And Charles here has this opportunity to, I think, really make a big impact during his, let's be honest, probably pretty short time as king, and amend the letters of patent to adjust how titles are issued. And this would address the Andrew situation. It would address the Harry situation and put William on such a better and a more firm foundation for the future. But Charles, I think here, he's just thinking way too much with his heart and not with his head. These require some firm decisions. And yes, people are going to be unhappy. Yes, not everybody's going to like them, but this is what Charles has to do for the future. And I think he understands that family is important, and it is. Nobody's denying that. But I think the problem here is not just the family side of things. It's just how unclear Charles is in his role as king and what he thinks about certain things. Is Andrew going to one day be a working royal again? What about Harry? What about Meghan? What about Harry, Meghan's kids, the York girls? Like, I think Charles is so unclear in this situation, and I think he could invite Andrew to things and maybe involve him more, but we'd have to make it so extremely clear that Andrew is gone as Counselor of State. He has no titles. He no longer maybe even has a place in the line of succession. And then he can do these sorts of things. Beyond that, I think it's just such a risk.
Indeed it is. And Brittany, also such a risk is, of course, the Prince Harry reconciliation. We saw Roy Anika in the Sunday Times just trying to prepare the groundwork for all of us. Oh, Harry, he's just going to be back all the time. And we should just be delighted about it, Brittany. Of course, it's just because he wants to see his family. Not everyone's sucked into this. Lee Cohen of The Tea with Lee, who is a regular columnist for The Spectator, The Daily Telegraph, has actually written for GB News on this. While other journalists push the reconciliation narrative, I never will. Harry is dangerous, full stop. I have deep respect for the crown and want to see it thrive forever. Harry is a threat to that. Harry chose to leave. He chose to attack. He stood by while his wife insulted his blood and birthright. He chose to monetize the conflict. He cannot now assume that the institution and people he rejected owes him reconciliation of any kind. And Brittany, this is the third betrayal to William, isn't it? This idea that it's almost just been accepted, not just by the institution, but by the Royal Rota and the mainstream media. Oh, let's just come back, Harry, and we can all forget.
I mean, that does seem to be where it's going down very, very sadly. I mean, I was really hopeful that when Andrew's titles were stripped, well, maybe Harry and Meghan will be next. And I just don't even think that is going to be the case at all. I think Charles is going to be very, very soft on Harry and just sort of this ill-conceived attempt to kind of try to smooth things over and get this false and hollow reconciliation, because reconciliation can only really happen when Harry acknowledges fault. And Harry has yet to do that. And I don't think he ever will do that, at least at this point. Maybe he'll get there at some day and recognize the horrible things that he did to his family. But by Charles allowing Harry to get in without any sort of repercussions will just embolden Harry and Meghan to be some of the worst actors within the British monarchy. I have said before, and I'll say again, I would not be surprised if Harry and Meghan find their own Jeffrey Epstein at some point. And it might not obviously manifest in the same way, but something like that will happen. For the monarchy to continue, it has to be maintained and I think controlled. And right now we have way too many in the British monarchy rogue royals. And these rogue royals are causing immense damage to the institution because they are not treating it with the respect that it deserves. And unfortunately, if they don't, the people won't eventually either. And this undermines everything. And Charles is just letting it go on under this, I think, just this idea that he's just going to be this grandfatherly figure to everyone when he needs to be a king instead. Sort of drop the grandfatherly, fatherly act, brotherly act, be a king. Sometimes that means being harsh. And I think he will have a better legacy overall than this wishy-washy one, which he will leave for William to pick up. And who knows if William can even take the monarchy beyond that. We will have to see.
And Brittany, Princess Eugenie revealing the new royal baby name without any weirdness. And there was a bit of a tribute to the late Queen too. And guess what? We got to see the face. So Princess Eugenie posting on Instagram 2 weeks ago today, we welcomed our girl to the world. And since then, we've had the most special, cozy and loved-filled time. And look, I think we all want that, right? For Eugenie after, it's been a horrendous few months. No one doesn't want her to have that. We are so happy to share Adelaide, Elizabeth, and Nina Brooksbank, named after 3 people we love and admire past and present, including her great-grandmother, who we hold close in our hearts. Her name is part English and Portuguese history, 2 places we love and call home. Orgy and Ernie are already the best big brothers. And I thought that was just an absolutely lovely tribute, according to Taz posting. How beautiful. I am so happy she showed the little girl's face. She's adorable, and that is a very pretty name. Love the nod to her grandmother as well. Brittany, it was lovely, wasn't it? And it's just so nice. Like, no weirdness, no like covering up half the face. I just think this is the way that you do it if you're royal and you want to have the world share in your happiness.
It's very, very sweet, Dan. So excited that we got the name, we got to see her. It's just so exciting to have another member of the royal family and to see again that legacy of Queen Elizabeth continue through the name is absolutely lovely, because I think every female descendant of Queen Elizabeth pretty much shares a middle name, especially in this great grandchildren generation. And so it's just so lovely to see. I'm so excited for Eugenie and her family on this new little addition.
Yeah, really nice. Really, really lovely. Great that we saw her. Not just so nice, Brittany, is what has been going on with Meghan Markle over the past couple of days. Disastrous flops, which the mainstream media are trying to cover up. And also people doing something incredibly dodgy, actually, wanting us to believe that Meghan Markle was involved in a project of Prince Harry's.
This video is for news reporting, commentary, and educational purposes. The views expressed are based on publicly available information and personal analysis. We strive for accuracy but encourage viewers to verify information through official sources.